Look, I had a breakdown in 2018, and at that point, I was
that in a car?
No, I was actually having a breakdown mentally, and I was physically wanted to commit suicide and actually get out of this. I had enough. I literally had enough.
Very heavy.
I took a $25 million a year business that I had at that time down to, and it basically got it down to $3 million, and I was just ready to end it all. I've been pushing that envelope so hard. Yep. And not understanding why it is. Why did I want to become that rich person? Why did I want to become that millionaire? Why did I want to become that successful? Why am I trying to justify? What was it inside of me that I was trying to justify?
Yeah. That's a good question. You're asking yourself a good question, like why?
Yeah.
And interesting that you were so much at that crisis point from 25 million to 3 million.
To zero.
Oh, to zero. Yep. Now we're talking. Yep. Okay. How did you get yourself back up?
I started with doing some short courses, understanding who I am, relationships, and I felt that I was losing my wife. I felt that I was going to lose my family, my boys, the respect that I'd built over the years and even in motorsports and everything else. I was I became an angry bastard, if you like, an absolute angry. They used to call me all sorts of names on the building site because I was coming on site and I was just wanting to eat people. I really just wanted to just knock them out of the park.
And were you angry because of that loss in your business, or were you just highly driven?
No, I was highly driven, but why? This is the question. Why was I highly driven? When I studied cognitive therapy, dialectic therapy.
That's the best.
Understanding narcissism, how to escape from narcissism. I came from a very narcissistic family. My father beat my mother so badly, and I couldn't understand why, once again. And then he beat me so bad that he popped both my eardrums.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Edge Radio. Indeed, it is time for the Genius Zone. Our resident genius is here, looking fantastic, ready. You're primed. You're actually sitting up a bit. What's going on? You're on the cushions.
Look, you're not supposed to tell people this.
You're making me look short.
Okay, but that's the whole idea.
People need to know I'm 6'4".
This is actually an NLP technique.
Well, geez, you're winning that one.
Have you heard about that before? Actually, no, you don't do it with your friends. You do it with your frenemies.
Frenemies, all right.
So, hi. And, I would usually introduce the guest, but I think you're going to be a lot better.
Do I need to do that seriously,
at introducing this guest? But before we do, is your past controlling your future?
Ooh, if you'd said that to me 6 months ago, absolutely, but not now. No.
Are you quite sure about that?
I've made a couple of little pivots. I'm tacking as we go, right?
Yeah.
We will see. All right.
So who's the stranger in the seat? Would you like to introduce?
He's definitely strange. There's no question about that. This gentleman here, of course, is Brendan Quartermain, a guy who does The Ordinary Guy, funny enough, a show that we have here on Edge, but also a gentleman I've known for many, many years because I sold him a rally car many years ago.
Oh, well, that does it all.
And I thought after that I've gotten rid of him, never see him again, no worries. But guess what? He just dragged me in and I stuck with him now and became his co-driver and had an absolute ball. Really enjoyed that.
So. One of my goals in life is to swap that thing over and me become the co-driver and be terrified and have him back to driving. That would be my blessing in God.
Well, I may need to spend at least 4 or 5 years in the gym before I get there, but hey, you never know.
But let's not argue about the gym, Let's argue about this business, about is your past your future.
Okay.
And, this man, Brendan, walked in because it's been amazing. It's been like crazy here at Edge Radio today.
It's been a busy day.
It's been full on one show after another. And Brendan introduced himself as the real Aaron Malloy.
Yeah.
Well, the real Aaron Malloy, please stand up.
The real Slim Shady, please stand up.
Look, if you're going to take on a fake identity, pick higher, okay? Just raise your standards a little bit, mate. But
mate, they're at the top.
Can't go any higher. He's humble today.
Just today.
So tell me about what you know, because I've never met you before in my life. I have heard a few things about you, and to be honest, I've just come back from Mexico, which is Mexico.
Oh, Victoria.
And,
Oh,
And
dear.
so it's been an absolute whirlwind. So to tell you the truth, with everything going on, the craziness of my life, I literally flew in a few days ago. So the jet lag is really catching up with me. But you know something?
Is that why you were looking for the alcohol before?
Yeah.
No,
We still
that's
are.
for the show. Then I realised it's only 3 p.m. in Perth, so we're about 2 hours too early. But it was you who inspired the name of the show. So tell us what you know about Sigmund Freud's version on, is the past controlling your future? And then I'll interact.
I've studied I had a breakdown in 2018, and at that point I
Was that
actually,
in a car?
No, I was actually having a breakdown mentally,
Right,
and I was
just
physically
had to
wanted to
clarify.
commit suicide and actually
Right.
get out of this. I had enough. I literally had enough.
Very heavy,
I took
mate.
a $25 million a year business that I had at that time down to, and it basically got it down to $3 million, and I was just ready to end it all. I've been pushing that envelope so hard.
Yep.
And not understanding why it is. Why did I want to become that rich person? Why did I want to become that millionaire? Why did I want to become that successful? What am I trying to justify? What was it inside of me that I was trying to justify?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Justify.
You're asking yourself a good question, like why?
Yeah.
And interesting that you were so much at that crisis point from 25 million to 3 million.
To zero.
Oh, to zero. Now we're talking.
Yep.
Okay.
Because
how did you get yourself back up?
I started with doing some short courses, understanding who I am, relationships, and I felt that I was losing my wife. I felt that I was going to lose my family, my boys, the respect that I'd built over the years, and even in motorsports and everything else. I was I became an angry bastard, if you like, an absolute angry. They used to call me all sorts of names on the building site because I was coming on site and I was just wanting to eat people. I really just wanted to just knock them out of the park.
And were you angry because of that loss in your business, or were you just highly driven?
No, I was highly driven, but why? This is the question. Why was I highly driven? When I studied cognitive therapy, dialectic therapy.
That's the best.
Understanding narcissism, how to escape from narcissism. I came from a very narcissistic family. My father beat my mother so badly, and I couldn't understand why, once again. And then he beat me so bad that he popped both my eardrums. So with that assault as a 5-year-old, we're just trying to understand why I do the things. I couldn't understand simple things. Why do I like martial arts? Why do I go to the gym? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I run as a child as fast as I could run? Why were those things happening? And in reality, those things, all of the things that we've done in the past, are all controlled by the things that happen in the first 5 years of your life.
Yes, I do agree with that, because that's the formative years. And I would suggest, what were you running from?
My father.
Yeah, see,
And
that's
my
the
mother.
thing. Yep,
My
running
mum
from your
had a
family.
beautiful saying. My mum said, if you think you can run away from something,
Then you
the
can.
next day look in the mirror, because you're still there. Because the thing that you're trying to run away from in
Is
reality
yourself.
is the thing. I got to the point now where I understand that I've become the hero that I was looking for when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
That's a hell of a point, because, you do become what you needed, right?
That's right. You become the hero.
Yep.
So, and in Aaron's case, with his kids, with what he did, with his family thing, he had to become the voice for those kids in reality.
Yes.
Because of what happened to him. What happened to him as a childhood. Those events have reoccurred, and that damage has been done to those children.
Yeah.
Well, they've been their thing to be thinking.
Yeah.
It's like my mother was raped, all right? As a 12-year-old, 16-year-old, several times. But understanding where that man came from, that man came off of World War II. We had all these men coming back off of World War II into an environment that was predominantly being run by women. All of the buildings, all of the businesses, all of the companies, everything, all the manufacturing jobs were all being done by women.
Doesn't excuse that kind of behaviour, though,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
any way, shape, or form. No, even then. I'm with you on the front.
We did not understand PTSD.
No,
Yep.
spot on. I was just going to say, we can't judge people on today's parameters, all right?
That's right.
But at the same time, some things are just never kosher.
Now, when she came here, there was, as a 16-year-old, she was brought into the country. She had a choice, either go to prison in the UK or come here as a nanny. I made a movie about it, about these women. And my mum was, by the way, nominated Mother of the Year 3 times. She fostered over 66
That's
kids.
amazing.
Why did she foster 66 kids? Understand the question?
Yeah, because of her own loss.
Absolutely. What
And
happened to her? Yes.
Yes.
And we do everything predominantly because of what we did. The assaults that came through.
Yeah.
My dad, before he died, said to me, you want to know the answer to what happened back when you were 5? Ask your sister to do a DNA test.
Oh, okay.
And I went, holy shit, it just
Ooh.
dropped. The penny dropped.
That's
The
deep.
2 children that my mother was assaulted over weren't my dad's.
Right.
Definitely the
So,
2 that are.
Look, you know, I hear this. And do you know the name of the show? The name of the show is The Genius Zone. And do you know where that was born from? It was born from exactly where you've come from. So I remember actually consulting with a woman in clinic one day, and when I asked her, because NLP is about changing people's states, it's about pattern interruptions and being able to take that part. Like, I do believe Freud when he says that our past is controlling our future. However, I also believe Adler when he states that we can take control of our destiny.
Yeah, well, Freud's whole system was created and said that you are the person you are today from the events that happened in the past.
Yeah.
Adler says you are the person that from the events that happened in the past, but you have the choice to change them.
Exactly.
Well,
and that's what NLP is all about.
Okay. And this is something I want to get out, if you like. So many people go, oh, this happened in my past, that happened in my past, therefore that's who I am. No, you've got free will, okay? These things they did, I mean, make no mistake. I mean, I can speak for my own self or for so many people I know. A lot of us went through some horrible stuff. Some of us went through some wonderful stuff. The fact of the matter is, though,
both good and bad anyway.
Exactly.
It wasn't like it wasn't all crisis, but we're trained, our brains are trained to focus on the bad.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, and obviously, you know, NLP is such a big thing about this, is, okay, you can retrain your brain. You can choose.
Absolutely.
You can choose your own adventure. You can choose your future.
You know, the turning point for me was I was always angry. Yeah. And this beautiful lady, Elfina, who I went to see, this was with an education group we called EQ, which is working on the mind and everything. She said, "You have the choice," and I went, "What?" She goes, "You have the choice to be angry or sad." Yeah. And this is how simple it is. Really is.
Or happy.
When you open up your Facebook page, you've got a thing that comes up, and you can either say thumbs up, happy face, sad face. You choose
emoji.
Which one? A love.
It's your choice.
Your choice.
Have you heard of the presupposition it's never too late to have a happy childhood? And this is because you can go back in time, and sometimes we have to go back in time to change the past so we can change the future.
Sure.
So quite often we're living out of it, and that's where the Genius Zone was born, because it's about turning pain to power.
I did a course with MJB over here in Balcatta with Mitch and Mills, and they're an amazing couple. I'd love to get them on with us one day, because they are really cool people, right? And Mitch is brilliant, absolutely. But he took me to a point. He said to me, "Go out into the field and talk to 5 people, as many people as you want, one person, whatever. Talk to whoever you want to talk to. Ask them this question and see how many you go." And he knew straight away that I would have the most number of people. I came back and he said, "How many did you get?" I said, 4, possibly 5. And he goes, "Can I ask you a question? How many fathers did you have?" And I went, "Holy shit." He says, "You've had 4 fathers and possibly 5.
Right.
And I went, "What?" He says, "Yeah, the first guy you spoke to gave you that answer." And it was an answer that was from the thing. He said, "Okay, that's your first father." He says, "Your second father, so your first father, he assaulted you. You stood up to him with a stick, remember?" And I went, "Yes." He says, "So there was your lesson. Your lesson was how to stand up to bullies."
Yeah.
Okay, so they're 5 years old, standing up to him with a stick. He hit me so hard he popped both eardrums.
Yeah.
You know, so that was fine. The next guy comes along into our lives is Uncle George. Uncle George is a Golden Gloves boxer. I always wondered where my martial arts comes from.
There you go.
He's my Golden Gloves boxer. And from that day, I have studied. I have a black belt in Kung Fu. I've done Arakan, karate, all these different things to find that hero inside of me.
Yes.
Then I've got the next one is Wes Quartermain, the man that I class as my dad. He is my father by choice. He's the name that I hold. My name is not Brendan Quartermain, it's Brendan Beattie. But my father is this
was
man.
he your biological father?
No, he was actually.
So he's your chosen father.
Chosen father. Not only that, he was Aboriginal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that
and
makes sense.
When my mother and father had a wedding, he did a ceremony adopting us 2 children. This was back in the 1980s.
Amazing.
This was never heard of. An Aboriginal man adopting 2 white kids.
Yep.
But he was amazing.
Beautiful.
He taught me everything I know. He taught me how to fix things, how to build stuff.
How cool is
he
that?
was that, right? And then he dies. My mum remarries again to a guy called Bill Osborne. Now, Bill's an amazing man. You know what he does? He's Bowen specialist. He does Bowen.
Yeah.
He taught me
Beautiful
how to heal
technique.
men's hearts one heart at a time.
Wow.
So that's where the healer comes in.
Yes.
And then I found out that my mother was my father.
Your mother was your
My mother
father.
was my father.
Hang on, mate.
How does
Back
that?
that horse up.
How does your mother become your
Because
father?
she was the overseer of all of this, protecting us.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so she's the mother of and my mother and my father.
Yes.
And then above that again is what I call the sixth,
yes.
and that's the Father in heaven,
Yes.
our universal God.
Your
Sure.
Father in heaven. I
That's
love
right,
that.
protected
Yes.
us
The
as
faith.
children,
Yes.
because my dad was a psycho.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I learned about who he was and why he was doing that.
Yeah.
You know, my dad, even going through this cognitive therapy and understanding that, my dad was a psycho because his job was in the army. He was a service member like I am. Couldn't work out why I wanted to be in the army. So he was a service member. He was in Ramey. And his job was cleaning eyeballs,
Oh, what a
literally
job.
body parts out of helicopters and sending them back to Vietnam.
Could he change people's vision with it as well?
No, I don't know. There's no funny parts about this.
Oh,
But that's the aggression and all that he was getting at work, and all that pain of all those body parts being inside these helicopters.
Oh, my
You know,
gosh.
and then sending them back to Vietnam to get more body parts.
Yes,
to be brought.
that's
It was
terrible.
horrific.
of course.
It's
And
horrific.
I didn't know that.
And, you know, I remember having a guy that came in to quit smoking one day, and he said to me he wanted to quit, but he was smoking 2 to 3 packets. He was in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that, and I said, we need to deal with that PTSD.
Yep.
And he goes, oh, no, because a lot of those guys that come out of the war are so traumatized they can't talk about it. But he said, I'm not talking about it. And then I said, you don't have to talk about it. What you really need to do is go back and make peace with it, learn from it, but release that horrible vision and that trauma that's living in your body so that when you are quitting that habit, whether it be smoking, in his case it was smoking, because he started talking. When I said to him, you don't have to talk about it, he began talking about it. But as he was talking about it, can you believe he was looking up in the air and he was saying they were dropping potatoes out of the planes.
Right.
That's how they were delivering their food.
No joke.
But he was still looking up. So he was still living in that moment. So here he is sitting in the clinic, but he's living in his past and bringing it into his present. So you know what we did? We took him back. So this is the beauty. And I noticed that you also talked about CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy.
Yep.
It actually derived from NLP. And it is one of the greatest things. That's why when you said vision, and I said, oh, does that change the vision?
Sure.
We take everything literally. We use all the words and we pattern interrupt. So one of the elements, and like the woman I was talking about at the beginning of the session, she came in and she said, and I was wanting to get her into a good state, you know, like the one in the workshop the other day.
100%.
We're stepping into our power. We're visualizing who we want to be. We're bringing back memories of confidence, empowerment, joy, peace, love. And then when I was asking her to do that, she could not find one happy occasion in her life. And I said, come on, there must be something. But in the end, she said, Terri, she said, I am a byproduct. I was conceived as a case of rape. So it's like, well, if that's your life from there,
and at that point of intimacy,
yes,
at that point of intimacy, there was no love.
That's right.
exactly.
So therefore, that was not projected into that poor girl's
That's
vision.
right.
We know now that at that point of conception, when that seed is conceived, there is a light. And if it's conceived without love, that child really is going to struggle.
Yes,
Oh,
and that's exactly
Well,
what happened.
I'll tell you about struggle. I've been struggling for the last, I reckon, 7 minutes to actually slot this in. If I may, I'm seeing that we've got the little sign that's come up that says people are sending messages through other different locations.
Channels?
Okay, yeah, exactly. So, and destinations.
Hello.
So lovely to see you. Fantastic. If you have questions or
Yes,
comments you'd like to
please
make,
bring them in.
please do. Best place to do it is jump on to our YouTube channel and watch through YouTube, or obviously our Facebook channel also will work for you. Edge Radio Australia on Facebook or on YouTube. And that way, if you like, subscribe, you can be part of the conversation, which is just a fantastic thing. This is what we want. We want interaction.
Yeah.
So
and
go for it,
I'd like
guys.
to hit the road running and continue on with your story, Brendan. So, you know, what we're doing with neuro-linguistic programming is we are not denying that we've all been through stress. We've all been through trauma. I know even today, I'm living today and right now, and well, maybe half an hour ago, as a result of what happened this morning. So I had my own stress, and, you know, you feel your yesterday is your tomorrow. So the question is, how can we change that?
I heard something the other day, which was really, it's just actually my own little story. I wrote this one. So I'm the author of this one. There's a guy waiting for the train at the Australian train station in Bunbury. And he's sitting there and he's walking up and down waiting for the train. On board the train is his wife and his 2 children. And he hadn't seen them for 2 weeks because they've been away for 2 weeks and he had to continue to work. And he's looking forward to actually seeing them. So he walks up to the conductor and says, when's the train? The train's due in at 8 o'clock. He goes, okay, then it's 5 to 8. It should be here in 5 minutes. 5 minutes after 8 o'clock, he goes, where's the train? It's still on its way. He goes, yeah, but it's running late. He starts to get agitated. 15 minutes into the train being late, because the Australian is predominantly always 15 to 30 minutes late.
Is that right?
In its
Standard
It's
time?
just standard time. And it's always late. He was fuming. But once those children came off the train and give him a hug and a cuddle, he's almost forgotten. And he gets to the car and he puts the kids in the car, he puts the baggage and he kisses his wife. He has now totally forgotten that the train was late. Was it worth going through that process of stress and all that beforehand? The answer is no. Understanding that there is an outcome, and when the outcome has occurred, the back will never happen.
What a great idea. Focus on the outcome there, because you know it's going to be positive.
That's right. And even when it's bad.
Well,
I mean, even
how do you mean?
Well, what I mean by that, okay, is that sometimes bad stuff happens to us. You know this, Aaron.
Oh, well,
you know, and even though we can go through a crisis, I mean, there is so much crisis going on in the world at the moment. However, when we can look at it, and this is like the DIY 101 sort of stuff that I can say safely on Edge Radio Australia.
You don't have to be safe on Edge. Come on.
No. But, you know, I mean, you don't know who's listening, and you want to be careful not to trigger people as well.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we need to actually put a trigger warning on this now. But the fact is that if we can look at our crisis, if we can look at what is going on in our lives and go back and go, what have we learnt from it? And this is the genius zone here. This is where it comes from.
One of the hardest things that we've been taught, though, I'm sorry to interrupt that.
Yeah.
You cannot create objectivity if you're immersed in the problem.
Absolutely.
So therefore, you're now coming out of the pub, out of the bar, you've got your keys in your hand, your car's sitting there, you know you're drunk.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But you cannot create objectivity to not take that car for a drive. Okay? And you don't. And this is where we've got to stop and literally step one step back and go, how can I look at the box from the outside in rather than the box from the inside out?
Yeah. Don't act straight away. Don't act in emotion. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, because I know people people hit buttons. They press send buttons to send messages and emails. And how many emails do we send and messages? I can remember a quick funny story. When I first broke up with my initial, and I was married. I was happily married with my subsequent. We were discussing.
Side joke,
anyway,
everyone, just so you know.
Joke. So anyway, so we used to argue, but
it's a way of not saying your first wife and your second wife.
He argued more than I did. And one day he gave me a message that wasn't very nice. And so I got on my phone and I started writing this message back, but it was shocking. Right. It was really, it was giving him as good as he gave and more. I was going in for the kill, right? And as I was going, I looked back at my message and I'm going, I ain't never going to send that. And my husband,
old days, we used to do the
I
same
just
thing,
need to
write
finish
a letter,
here. My subsequent husband or my late husband came up, put his arms around me, and the button went off and it sent it.
No.
So, how many times do we send things that was a funny story, but sometimes we do it in anger or we do it in emotion.
Is it that your soul
Mm-hmm.
really
Meant
needed
to do that.
for that to go.
Yes, I
Well,
like
that gives you a closure.
Oh.
Yes,
I like that.
and sometimes things happen. Like last night,
I'm going to interrupt you, mate, because we need to talk about Leah's soul. Leah has been sitting on the screen.
Oh,
So patient. Thank you, Leah Wilson. Fantastic to get a message from you. Now,
I'll be happy to answer the question.
yeah, there we go. So Leah's question is, if we can think over the bad, why can't we think over the positive too?
Well, that, Leah,
Brilliant point.
you know, as you know, really what I would say is that this is something that's so normal. It's something we all do. So we could have 10 good things happen to us in a day, and then we could have a crisis or something negative.
Sure.
We are going to be really focusing. That's just the way the human mind works. And like Brendan said, I think that was enormous to be able to say that, not to act in our emotion, not to act when we are angry or when we are emotional, but to step back. And one of the key things that I often say to people is, if you are nursing and rehearsing a problem and you know you are, this is not good for your nervous system.
No.
It's not good for your immune system either, because it's, you know, releasing all this bad chemical in your body. So, you know, what is 2 times, you'd know the answer to this question, what is 2 times negative?
a negative.
2 times negative is a positive. Scientifically, yes.
Okay.
2 times negative equals a positive. So if you were to say, let's just say you're feeling, so firstly, people get engrossed in the problem. You know, that person said that to me, or that didn't happen, or they didn't do this, or that didn't happen. So while they're getting engrossed in that, that's not the real problem. What you've got to ask yourself is, how am I feeling?
Yeah, okay.
What is this really making me feel? And usually it comes down to one of 3 things predominantly. Number 1, that you feel a lack of love and connection.
Yep.
And even if you are feeling angry,
Mm-hmm.
it can come down to a feeling of lack of love and connection. This is not in the right order either.
No.
Number 2 is that you may be feeling like you are insignificant, unimportant, not meaningful.
And
to that
how
person,
badly does
or-
that affect people
yeah,
when they don't
a
feel
lot.
important?
Yeah.
Huge thing, yeah.
I mean, I know that was my big thing, right?
Yeah.
That
Or
was
not
what
needed.
I grew up.
So
Not
text
needed.
back fast, okay? Otherwise we're going to upset.
Yeah. So, well, we're not just talking about text here,
Oh, I'm
Aaron.
teasing. Hello.
But, you know, and the last one is certainty. And I've seen all 3 of these, and I do all of them very, very well.
Okay.
So ask yourself, am I coming from a place of uncertainty, or am I coming from a place of, you know, insignificance and feeling unimportant? Or am I coming from a place where I feel a lack of love and respect? So when you can answer that question, this is where the 2 negatives come in. So if it is, I feel unloved, how does that feel to feel unloved? Or if it's unimportant, how does it feel to feel unimportant?
I think there's a technical word for it. It's called crap.
Crap. I like
It
that.
feels crap.
Okay, so let's say I feel unimportantly crap.
All right, you could
So
say that.
the moment you put those 2 words together, that diffuses that feeling in your body. Now, nobody is asking you to climb out of the mud. I mean, I remember being a practitioner and training people and regretting it after, because, you know, we're saying, well, let's step into the feeling of love. Let's, you know, step into the feeling of joy. Let's step into the feeling of empowerment. And then they take it into context of, if something happens that's quite bad, a crisis hits, and I'm in a mood where I feel emotionally unstuck,
Sure.
or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling afraid, or whatever that is. Oh, no, you can't feel like that, Terry. I'm like, damn straight I can feel
I've got
like
every
this.
right to feel that way.
You have every right to feel bad. And you know what? Own it.
Own it?
The first thing you've got to do, you know, the second thing is those 2 words, but the first thing is, this is how I feel. I'm going to own this.
Yeah, I agree.
And when you embrace those feelings, you're not running away from it. You're not causing it to, you know, be deferred and then to come back later.
Well, there's no denial about it, is there? When you own it, you've got to confront it. Well, I think so anyway.
I hope that answered Leah's question.
Yeah, it was a great question. Thank you, Leah.
I've done. I'm actually a practitioner in self-directed healing.
Beautiful.
And understanding why that is. And when I was going through my training, I passed a 12 millimeter gallstone. because I held my mother.
ouch.
I held my mother here, and it's the
Whoa.
organ that's closest to your heart.
Right.
So I held her here, and when she died, I had to pass that gallstone
Yes.
to allow my mother to be released from my body.
Whoa.
And it was really funny because I went to the doctor and he said, I can't find your gallstone. And I said, it's gone. I've crushed it. I've got rid of it and I've passed it.
Profound.
And you can do these things. But if you understand, we are learning now. In the 1920s, you went to the doctor. You know what he used to say to you? Tell me what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, I've got a migraine. Okay. What's going on at home?
Yeah, now we're talking. That's
No,
a real
it's a
doctor.
state.
There's
Yes.
no more of
What's
those
going on at
around
home?
anymore.
What's happening around work? What's going on?
And today it's, I have this pill for that. I have that shot
Yes.
for that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just lollies and
Yeah.
see you later.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, it's just
A
and then,
script and
and
buy.
come
Very
back
much
next
so.
week, you know.
Yeah.
I remember a story goes like this: the doctor walks into the guy walks into the doctor's surgery, and sits down in front of the doctor, and he goes, "Ugh," and he just dies. And the doctor sits there and goes, "Oh my God, I'm a failure. I'm a useless, doctor. My patients all die. Oh, I can't. I quit. I've had enough." Actually, he didn't. What the doctor did is grabbed him by the scruff, walked him around the chair, like dragged him, put him through a chute, gets on the thing, goes, "Next, please." And that's what we need to be starting to look
Wow.
at. What's next?
Yeah.
Well, next, please, because they can't fix that man. He's
I'm
already dead.
going to tell a relevant story
Yeah.
here, but I was in court this morning. I'll be able to discuss that more on social media
Sure.
a little later, but not now. And interestingly, my case was just a civil residential, so we're just a fly in the ointment, really. But the case before me was that big case that's going on in Perth where that guy king hit
Mm-hmm.
a person and killed him in the front of a nightclub. And, of course, I was told by some of the people, look, this is what's going on. This is the case
Sure.
that's going on in the court. And there were all cameramen and that, and I thought, I'm going to end up in the Channel 7 News tonight, right?
Wouldn't be the first time.
And then and do you know, the culprit, the guy that did the deed, walked out of court like he was the king of the world. I could not believe it. But he obviously, despite the fact that this was I'm nervous because I'm doing something trivial.
Sure.
He's there because he's killed somebody. But the difference is he walks out like he's king of the world. My case was dismissed because I chose to do a peace offering, and even though I could have really seen a lot more out of it than the other party, he accepted, and it was dismissed. So that was
and that's the most positive way forward. Okay, so but this other guy who's been in and I don't know the details of the king hit, but to walk out with that kind of confidence, that kind of arrogance says a lot. I mean, how do you unpack
it really
that? How do you
does.
unpack that?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like unconscionable. I'm not going to say.
I would love to spend 10 minutes with him in a quiet conversation in a room, because it's not him. Understanding that is not his fault.
He's a very young man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not his fault. Seriously, it's not his fault. Remember the movie, what was it called, with what's his name? The comedian that committed suicide.
Robin Williams, your favourite.
My favourite. Love him.
Good Will Hunting, I think it's him.
Good Will Hunting.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
He goes, it's not your fault. The events that are occurring to you are not your fault.
Yes.
An unbelievably brilliant
hear
movie.
you, Brendan.
And that is, one of the most pertinent and important scenes in modern cinema, I would think, because I think it speaks to so many people.
Yeah.
I was in a situation where a particular group of gang members were sending their boys to me before they did their 8-year stints in prison.
Wow.
And I remember this one guy, and he was a giant. Like, I was a midget to him. We could have, I grabbed him by the hand and I hang onto his hand, and he's throwing punches at me, and I'm not letting go.
No.
And he goes, "Why don't you let go of my hand?" And I says, "Because your father forgot to hold yours."
Wow.
And he just went to his knees.
That's profound.
And was crying and on my shoulder and sobbing. Because that event that's occurring, why was I nailed it? Because his father forgot to hold his hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to throw in and be the devil's advocate here, okay? there is a time where you need to stand up and take responsibility. People too often will go, I had a bad childhood, or this happened to my childhood, and they'll blame all their bad behaviour on
But
it.
they don't.
As like,
But
are you saying excuse? What
so
you're saying
many
is they're
people use
making
that as excuses.
Yeah.
And I don't buy that.
Yeah.
Okay, we've all had crap happen to us. We've all had negative experiences. It is what you choose. You have the ability of free will. You need to use
No,
it.
you don't.
I don't agree. I
You don't have the ability of free will until you've actually learned how to do free will.
Well, you can have a certain amount of
It is. Look,
you have a certain amount of conditioning.
I actually agree with both of you, because on one hand, a bit like Adler and Freud, we've got Aaron, who's what I feel that Aaron is really saying is that there is no excuse for bad behaviour to that extent, and that these people are
different background and different family
these
space.
are the people that are making up excuses, and I do believe in the rule no excuses. Then there's yourself, and I agree with you as well, because you're saying people need to learn this, and whatever is. I mean, I've dealt with ex-convicts, people that have walked straight out of jail, and their people have brought them straight into clinic and sat them down. And I look at them like a soul. I don't look at them like a criminal, because I know that whatever they've done, it's in the past, but they need to learn something different for their future.
If a baby never eats chocolate, it won't ever have an addiction for chocolate.
Exactly.
And this is the problem. If we don't understand why things have occurred to you from your events of the past, there is no way for you to move forward. But you're stuck in that space. You are a highly intelligent man.
That's debatable.
No, you are.
I mean, how do you know how to orchestrate? Like, for example, if our past did not depict our future, how would you know what to do when it comes to ending this live stream? So there is a lot of moving parts that go on around this place, and you can do them with your eyes shut.
Yeah,
and I noticed that if they change, you don't like it very much, but that's just a side
That's
note.
a little bit of autism.
Just to sneak in there.
But, because of what you've learned, you are bringing that into a future. So that's a positive side
I agree.
of that.
And I want to just make something clear, right? So we're on the same page here. I thoroughly agree with you from the point of view of we are very much influenced by our past, what's happened in our childhood. That sets the barometer for so much of what you are.
But Adler says those things have occurred. You have the choice to change.
Exactly.
Choice.
Now,
Choice is the word.
For me, like it's when I deal a lot in politics, okay? When I speak to politicians who have just had a silver spoon in their mouth their entire life, they've never had a real job, whatever, I have zero respect for them. I'll be absolutely frank. The people who have had to dig themselves out of drama to tear themselves up, the people I really relate to and I trust and I feel far more comfortable with people with a past.
Experience.
Experience to me. And
absolutely.
Like our politician, Mr. Elbow with no past.
No past at all. Just, just silver.
Is that right?
He's never had a job.
Well,
never had a real
but hang on a minute.
Never run a
he
business.
was still, I mean, I'm not saying either or, but that man was still raised by a single mother.
Yeah, you know what? Why was he raised by a single mum? Okay, because his mum bloody. Anywho,
okay,
all right.
So we are getting a bit off track
but
here,
what
guys.
but no, the path is this. If somebody is, in my opinion anyway, and you can throw this out if you don't agree with it, but again, if people have had a colourful past, then I think they bring more
They're
texture.
going to be a colourful person.
Yeah, but they bring more texture to the conversation, quite frankly. And I think that when you've got experience means everything.
Absolutely,
right?
because
really
that's where pain becomes power.
Now, that statement
and that's
you
where
use,
the genius zone comes into it, because it's because of people's past and that grit. Like, you will have a very strong conviction about fathers who are deprived from their children.
I'm a product of the deprivatory. I was told. You know what I was told? I was told, you're just like your father. You're just like your father. You know what I found out? I'm just like my mother. In fact, I even look like her. Just a male version of her.
It's an old age saying. But, it's those things that we hear that we become too. But I'm going to pick up again what you said, Brendan, and it's Adler's point of view. We don't have to – I believe in Freud and I followed him a lot. But the fact is that, yes, I believe that our past does create our present, but we can be the master of our destiny.
But
we
Jung-
don't have to be the victim
But Jung
of our
says-
history.
Yeah, Jung says exactly that. You don't have to be a thing of your history, and so
Yeah.
does what's his name?
Yes.
That guy that's famous today, who does all this sort of stuff.
Anthony Robbins,
Oh, the other one.
Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza. What an amazing. I'd
Okay,
study
these
Joe
are all my
Dispenza.
teachers.
Yeah, these are my teachers too. Understanding that space,
Yeah.
you know. But look, because I'm a facilitator, I won't use the word coach, because the word coach to me means that you're better than someone else. In other words,
Right.
if you've been brought
You know,
on as
I'm never going to use that word again now,
because
right?
it's a coach, right? You are brought on as a football coach. That means that you are better than the people that you're training.
Half the time you're not.
No, but
because that's
it's the
not
belief
what makes
system.
a good coach.
That's exactly right.
I
So I'm a
find that I
facilitator.
learn more from my patients.
I had I'm going to share.
Yep.
I had the opportunity to talk to a federal police officer,
Mm.
and I said to him, "What was the defining stage in your life that you became a police officer? A police officer first, and then a fed." He goes, "It was one day I was over in Victoria, and we were my mates and I were going to knock off this liquor store."
Right.
And I chose at that point to walk in the different direction, let them go. And I then became a police officer because of that. And I said, "No, it's not." I said, "Tell me about your childhood." And he looked at me with a straight face and said, "I had a brilliant childhood, an absolutely perfect, uninterrupted schooling. Everything was perfect. My grandmother and grandfather brought me up well."
There you go.
I
Yes,
said,
Dan.
"Where's your parents? They died
Yes,
in a car accident."
That's exactly right. It doesn't get
go
much
back a little
worse than
further,
that.
right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Go back
yeah.
further. Go back to
Yes.
where's your parents? You go, they both died in a car accident. That's
Yes.
the deciding factor of you being what you are today,
Yes,
police officer.
yes.
And I talk to nurses all the time. When were you raped by your sibling or father and they go, "You're kidding me." That's the time that they became nurses. Or who died
Yes.
at that point?
Yes.
Who made that decision? Look, is rape a good thing? No, it's not.
Disgusting.
But it creates the person you are today because those people are counsellors. They're the ones that are out there. I got raped at 8, so I know what it's like to be in
Definitely
that
a
space.
trigger warning on this one.
Yeah, sorry.
And look, to bring it in, because as we start to conclude, and I appreciate that transparency, because that's the kind of transparency that someone that's going to watch this is going to go, "Oh my gosh, I can be like Brendan. I can go through what Brendan has been through
on that
and
thing.
I can become
Just
a
quickly
better
on that thing,
person
on that
because
thing,
you've
right, on the
healed."
rape, right? I went to my mother's funeral, okay, and the man was there.
Oh, dear.
And I walked up to him, and I am massive, right, was his fighter. And I said, "I have two choices right now. One is that I can take you outside and beat the living crap out of you, or I'm going to give you a hug and say thank you for creating the person I am today."
Beautiful.
And that's what I did. He walked out of
Amazing.
there, sat in his car and cried.
As he
As
would.
he should.
As he would. And you know what? I say bravo to you on that, because people do days and days and weeks in intensive training to get to that level where they can release the perpetrator
Nobody
and
controls this
forgive,
body.
because you've
Oh, dear.
learnt that you control your life and you are the master of
Nobody
your
puts an
destiny.
injection into me. Nobody tells me what to do.
Yep.
Only person that I listen to is
Yes.
either my wife and God.
Yes.
Yep.
So can we conclude on a good note?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Can we? Because I know
Well, I'm
we've
going to
got to
interrupt
wrap
you
up.
before you do that.
Yes.
I'm just going to say this is such an important thing. This is you being vulnerable. This is you being honest. This is why people follow and I don't know, hopefully gain something from Edge Radio Australia, because this is not filtered. It's not cleaned up. It's not edited. It's not sanitized.
Yeah.
And the important conversations are not sanitized. They
Yes,
are ugly.
yes.
They are real. And sometimes they're beautiful, right?
Yeah. And look, if you've been, if you've listened to some of the things here today and it's really sort of stoked up a few fires in yourself, just know that we are all, at that point of suffering. We all suffer. None of us are immune to suffering. None of us are immune to crisis. And regardless of what you have been through, you can turn it into your power. And it's a bit like the story that I didn't make up about the guy who was a farmer and his son fell off a horse and broke his leg. And he was meant to run a marathon and whatnot. And his neighbour said, "Oh, that's too bad, mate. That's really bad luck." And the father said, "I don't know." And then the week later, war broke out. And guess who didn't get summoned?
Whoa.
So sometimes when you get held back, sometimes when crisis happens, in fact, you'll find there is always an equivalent seed of something magical on the other side. So I'd like to conclude with asking our viewers and our listeners, if you could wake up tomorrow and be better, what would you feel? And what do you need to do today to feel that tomorrow?
Okay. That's very profound. And with
I
that,
don't
we
know
will
about
end
that.
the show. Thank you very much for both of you. And thank you, Brendan, for being so unbelievably
Yes.
raw. That's just huge, mate. Simple as that.
Thank you,
You
yes.
know, known you a long time, teased you for a long time. That's what real mates do. But mate, that's what you said today. It was just all heartfelt. It was all very real, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Terri, for everything you do, and thank you for the perspectives that you bring people, and the tools you bring to the party. I think that's really
Thank
important.
you.
Knowing that we should have probably started with this is a safe space.
This
You know,
is the
and
safe
this is
space.
a safe space. If you're out there and you've gone through anything like trauma, this is a safe
Yeah.
space.
Mm.
And
Yep.
my heart goes out to you. I spend a lot of time working with people out there that have got this kind of trauma. I can't do it on my own. I have a spiritual father that looks after that. And so that's what.
Thank you
to
so
spend some
much.
time with Terri today has been an absolute delight, you know, and Aaron as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you so much for being part of the show. It is the Genius Zone here on Edge Radio Australia. Edge Radio.
Show where we have explored through this various topic, along with all the exciting new topics that we bring every week to enhance your personal mastery of excellence. Now, I'd love you to do me a favor. In fact, be part of the Legacy 1 million that I have in the vision for 2028. If you know someone who really would benefit from this recording, from this episode, please share it with them. And when you subscribe, you get notified every week of our episode as soon as it drops. So let's do that legacy thing. Let's share, let's care, let's enrich. And I look forward to bringing you another week of the most enriching content. So until next time, stay inspired, stay awesome, and keep on mastering your excellence.